Thank you for staying with us. We now continue with In the Headlines, and right now we move on to the dailies just to update you as per what the stories have been captured on the different dailies today, as well as just reminding you the hashtag is still Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Let me start you off with the Daily Nation. Not too busy today. The main read, as you can see there, is concerning Ida Odinga. She did an exclusive interview with this particular daily, and they went on to ask about her political life, her affiliation, her opinions when it comes to her husband's political interests. And one question that they have actually put on the front page is in regards to her ties with Rachel Ruto, given their spouses are, set to be the two main contestants of next year's presidential elections. That is mostly the main read here on the front page of the Daily Nation. But then again, still on that political note, we have Raila Odinga raises storm, where the planned meeting in Ukambani is, sending jitters among Kalonzo Musyoka's allies who have, vowed to boycott any of their planned meetings should their leaders' interests not be put to, or rather respected for that matter. That story has been covered here on page 5 of this particular daily. And they go on to say that, of course, it talks of how they're causing Raila Odinga's planned meeting is causing jitters in Ukambani amid claims that Mr. Musyoka has been sidelined by the Orange team, and his allies even threatened to boycott the rally due to the friction that is currently between the ODM leader and Kalonzo Musyoka. But yesterday, Mr. Odinga did meet some delegation of grassroots leaders from Kitui, Machakos and Makueni, and he had a meeting with them, talked to them, and of course courtesy of the acceptance, yes, maneno inapotea, of Kivutha Kibwana's invitation. Now, coming back to the front page, Ruto in Nyanza, where he was given a wish list by his, when he was touring that particular region, given he started his 3-day tour yesterday. When he was speaking, he said that BBI was the most fraudulent and deceitful agenda carried out in the name of changing the constitution. And when he went on to say that you don't need to change the constitution in order to increase resources to counties. And also he did admit that, looking at the successive administrations that sidelined this particular region, one thing that he vowed to change once he is elected president, and of course asking for them to support his presidential bid. He pledged to look into the region's issues once he becomes president, and among them would be particularly looking at the sugar sector due to the lack of political goodwill that has been there in that particular region. He also went on to say that he will, of course, he's expected to have meeting and forums in Homa Bay, Kisumu and Migori as well. But he also made a stopover at Dago in Kisumu. In Kisumu West, I hope I said that right. Do not crucify me.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Dago. Where he donated some 300,000 Kenya shillings to Bar Union Secondary School. All right. So that was his first day of the Nyanza tour that he's currently on. Remember, it's a 3-day tour. So let's see how day 2 will be playing out today. Coming to a story that has been featured on the back page, beer border prices set to rise, and Kenyans could be paying more for bottled water, juice, motorcycle, beer and other items after KRA increased excise duty on the items to cover inflation. That is what has been captured here. And of course, the BBI battle, the stage is set for the final BBI showdown as Supreme Court frames 7 questions for this case. That is the front page of the Daily Nation for you this morning. Victor.
All right. And still on the front page of the Star newspaper, slow but sure, Mudavadi's blessings and drawbacks. Slow but sure, Mudavadi's blessings, drawbacks. For him, but for those who know Phantom, all right, he is the truest representation of the brawler on the rugby pitch and gentleman off the pitch. In politics, he's a gentleman in a game of hooligans. So they're trying to unmask Musalia Mudavadi presidential series, which is still on here on the Star newspaper and still on the front page. Ruto to Rift Valley aspirants, our friendship won't earn you nomination. You can check on that. I'll give you details briefly. Let's get into the second page here. Kenya runs out of HIV test kits for children. Babies born to HIV positive moms are being turned away from hospitals. Children born to parents living with HIV are not being tested for the virus due to shortage of test kits in Kenya. Babies born to HIV positive mothers must be tested at birth because without treatment, mortality of those who contract HIV is highest in the first 3 months. So there is a crisis looming there, and perhaps the Ministry of Health should take note on that. Bwire among 5 wanted and 10 million shillings bounty on his head. Tales of a missing terror convict El Giver Bwire took a new twist on Tuesday after the state announced that he had gone underground and described him as armed and dangerous. It put 10 million shillings bounty on his head. Bwire is among 5 individuals who, according to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, either joined terror groups including Al-Shabaab and ISIS or went underground to plan attacks. That is on the front page. And there is a cartoon here. Perhaps my cameraman can just zoom in briefly. Kenya's been making fun of Kere. My cameraman, please, just zoom in this one. There's that cartoon there. If you... there's a phone. And this, yes. And this is, perhaps this is a basin or something. And that is a Kere. And he's completely immersed himself in the phone, trying to dig deep and to...
on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Yeah. What a dig there, you know?
Those that are living flashy lives on their social platforms.
Yes, and he's quite determined.
Kere anatutafuta.
Anatutafuta. I hope they're looking at that. Anyway, Kenyans are just Kenyans. Thank you so much. Just trying to make fun out of a situation, so that cartoon you can interpret it the best way you know how. And to some politics, a quick one. Ruto plans to reject election results. That's according to ODM. DP cites attack on cabinet secretaries. ODM is accusing Deputy President William Ruto of setting the stage for a disputed outcome of the 2022 presidential election. The party on Tuesday said that DP Ruto has resorted to discrediting the electoral process after realizing that the ground had shifted since its leader Raila Odinga hit the campaign trail. Politics, it's about accusations and counter-accusations. What works for you necessarily does not necessarily work for me. And lastly, our friendship won't earn you nomination, Ruto tells aspirants. This is something that we talked about a week or so ago, where he said that the nomination is going to be free and fair. And most of the parties, if you remember Jain, Doreen and Regina, where he said that if you want to be part of the group, show loyalty right now. We are going to have a post-election pact.
We will sign
deals after election. So he's also sending some tough warning here to those deputies. DP says that who will violate rules will automatically be disqualified from the race. So he was speaking yesterday in Kisumu, where he met aspirants and he met delegates from Kisumu, where he's still continuing with his 3-day visit to the larger Nyanza region.
Regina.
Now, talking about what we have on the front page of the Standard, it seems as if this week actually things are like almost similar in as far as news is concerned. So we're talking about matters, you know, Raila, what he's doing on his campaign trail, while the deputy president, who is his arch rival in this point, ran up to the general elections come 2022, is in Kisumu. So many things have been said about the deputy president William Ruto's visit to Kisumu. with some leaders being quoted saying that, yes, let the DP go get the instruments of, being the major opposition party. But be as it may, this is what has been captured on the front page of the Standard. Raila hits back as Ruto woos Kisumu. Leaders allied to ODM asked the deputy president to be ready for opposition benches after the next year's election, even as Ruto promises the region economic development through his bottom-up model, should he win. That is a front page. That is a header this morning on this particular daily. Talking about the political scene, and we've already carried this story, Mudavadi, that is the leader of ANC, as well as his parliamentary team, says that they're going to continue popularizing ANC. There is no turning back. There is no giving up, so to speak, in as far as the presidential race is concerned for Mudavadi come 2022. Well, it's a long time. If you look at it, since we say that, a day in politics is quite a long time. You can change your allegiances as well with the time if you have wiggle room. But for Musalia Mudavadi, as far as yesterday and today is concerned, this morning, is that he is not turning back from top seat. Then matters of counties, we have a sad story here where children die in the fire as mother hawks eggs at night. We're going to be giving you details. And talking about Nairobi County, in just a sneak peek, is that Kananu. And Kananu is set to be sworn in as the city's third governor this week. This is after, the Supreme Court threw out the case filed by former office holder Mike Sonko, challenging her appointment. This is after so many hurdles. She's now on her way to become the first city's female boss. Talking about what is happening in Nairobi City, is that also the courts have declined to transfer Lillian's property to Machakos. In case you're wondering, we're talking about the former, can we say former wife, former partner?
First
lady, former first lady of Machakos County there, Lillian Ng'ang'a. Now, Machakos Governor, so to speak, Alfred Mutua, has lost the first round of a fight over property with his estranged former partner, that is Lillian Ng'ang'a. He had sought to have the court strike out Lillian's suit against him and have the matter transferred to Machakos Court. But now, Nairobi Principal Magistrate E. Wanjala has dismissed his objection on account that it was frivolous and without merit. Whoa, what can we say? What can we say? Let's see something else also. After yesterday's decision by the Supreme Court, there were final prayers that were held for BBI as the court sets the dates to be determined. That is early next year. So we'll be waiting to hear which direction the court is going to take. The issues set for determination include whether the basic structure is a doctrine applicable in Kenya and if it limits the power to amend the constitution. Secondly, whether the president can initiate changes to the constitution by a popular initiative. Third, whether the proposal to create 70 new constituencies is unconstitutional. Fourth, whether civil proceedings can be instituted against a sitting president. Fifth, place of the public participation in amending the constitution and whether BBI complied with it. Sixth, minimum quorum required for IEBC to conduct business. And last but not least, whether each proposed constitutional change should be submitted as a separate referendum question. Those are the issues to be determined, and the month is January, the dates between 18th, so to speak, and God willing, it will be a new year, and we'll be here to keep tabs on that. That's just a sneak peek of the stories that have made headlines in as far as this particular paper is concerned. Doreen.
Coming to the People's Daily, perhaps you can begin with Nairobi, with that swearing in of Anne Kananu coming anytime this week. Right now, senators are saying, or they're warning against extending NMS term. This is beyond March next year. We obviously know that the general took that particular office in February of 2020. His term is set to expire in 2022. That is in March. And now parliamentary committee has recommended that term of NMS should not be extended anytime further. There's a bit of a mixed reaction. This is amongst those senators, those of us that are saying that the NMS has really played its role very well. Those that are saying that nonetheless that term should not be extended any further. Coming to the KEMSA woes, this is regards to the employees who were who had been asked to step down. Right now, as it turns out, senators and governors claim that powerful people are attempting to cover up for their roles in graft cases that rock the drug agencies, and just saying that these junior employees were not supposed to be fired just because of the KEMSA scandals, that all this is actually the powerful and the powerful persons in government are just trying to cover up by firing of these junior employees. That is what is coming out in regards to that, the KEMSA scandal and the firing of those KEMSA employees. We also have the issue concerning what has been happening in schools, rather, and as it stands, 6 students are now accused of arson, held for 14 days. That is in Maranda High School. The 6 students have been held. And also what is coming out is that just by doing this is that they these 6 students rather who are implicated in this banning of schools, they will not be issued with a certificate of good conduct, and this is part of what is coming out, and they will be held in custody for at least a period of 14 days, because as it stands out, various students in that particular school pinpointed them, saying that they are actually sure that these 14 students were the ones that caused that fire in that particular school. And also in regards to this issue of school fires, the NCCK now calls for education policy reviews amid what has been happening lately, and also they've given various reasons as to why they think this has been happening. Remember, as of yesterday, it was established that the Ministry of Education mentioned that this has nothing to do with COVID-19, as per how most Kenyans were saying, and also NCCK has established various reasons as to why these fires have been happening, and now they're calling for education policy reviews, at least to see how best they can curb that issue of fires. Coming to what is happening in regards to National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi, this is what this article is highlighting is that why Speaker Muturi is a marked man. Remember that again, also as of yesterday, we already established that the Jubilee is planning to oust him together with the deputy. What does that mean for him as well as the deputy? And again, also various reasons have been highlighted as to why they're planning to do that. And again, also Speaker Muturi says the reason as to why the Jubilee is planning to do that in terms of ousting him. So again, when we get to the details, I'll be telling you more about that, as well as matters to do with ANC, where the delegates are set to approve Mudavadi's candidature. This is in regards to the 2022 general elections. And also that particular story again also covered on the PD, where Kalonzo allies up in arms on Ruto-Raila campaign trips. And this is because of the various places that Ruto and Raila are set to visit in that particular county, saying that this in a way is not good for Kalonzo Musyoka, now urging that the numerous tours by the duo were meant to slight the former vice president. In a nutshell, that is how the People's Daily looks like.
There you have it, Doreen. Talk of Chebukati and IEBC. Chebukati decision on politicking CSs comes back to haunt him, and IEBC criticized for blocking ministers from campaigns, yet it allowed them in 2017 polls. So polls agency actually is in a tight spot for flip-flopping on whether cabinet secretaries should participate in political campaigns ahead of the 2022 polls. The IEBC earlier position in the 2017 general election was that ministers were free to politic. IEBC chair Wafula Chebukati told journalists in a meeting with political parties that cabinet secretaries were free to campaign. This was actually at the height of the complaints by ODM leader Raila Odinga's National Super Alliance over CSs who were campaigning for President Uhuru Kenyatta then. But as it stands, however, now IEBC says that cabinet secretaries should keep off the 2022 politics, as their neutrality and would be diminished. So what has changed?
No, talking about IEBC and its fleeting changing goalposts, so to speak, what you can say, we are in a political season. So on a lighter note, kila mtu akae rada. Today it will be IEBC, next it will be something else, but this is a political season. The question is, what is a fact? So if this, was it entrenched in law? Does the IEBC have its decision, does it fall in its mandate? Is it within the law and such? And why is it difficult now? Anyway, if you read politics, you'll understand that this is a political season, and everyone is bound to look at what favors them. So IEBC, I am more concerned about its budget deficit at a time when, we're already having a conversation about, is it going to be able to carry a free and fair, transparent election come next year? But yet that is a wait and see. I hope it really does, because if we go back to Kenya's history, the electoral body plays a central role in political stability, especially where the general elections are concerned. If we go back in history, we remember the Kivuito-led commission, so to speak, and what happened therein. So we need someone who is astute, transparent, and ready to bite the bullet if push comes to shove. We'll be keeping tabs on that. And now let's shift away from matters politics, so to speak. And I want to draw your attention to matters universities. So the University of Nairobi made headlines after the professor, the vice chancellor there, said, if you do not want to pay the tuition, or rather the cost of education in that particular institution of higher learning, then you need to get another option. So there's been quite a talk, and here is a detailed report titled WASU Petition to the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Education and Research. Vice Chancellors blame the pay stalemate on poor funding. So, State of Universities is a special report that has been carried in this particular paper. The document traces the stalemate in the CBAs to 2006, when the negotiation structure was distorted, giving VCs room to take central role in the process. The header in this particular article is that university VCs bungled pay deals for selfish gain. This is according to a report, not my words, but a report that goes back way to 2006. Now, the details are in a 7-page report titled WASU Petition to the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Education and Research that was tabled on March 8, 2018. So, according to Wasonga, that is WASU Secretary General Constantine Wasonga, he says that VCs, since 2006, VCs delay processing of unions' proposals, deliberately fail to give counter offers to the unions, and also manipulate the negotiation processes. If you want to read further more on that issue, you can find yourself a copy. But just looking at the state of our institutions of learning, especially high institutions of learning, universities need to focus on the core mandates.
Okay.
We have heard that graduates who go through our tertiary institutions are considered half-baked, by the market, or rather when it comes to job and how they execute these particular jobs that they land in. A majority of human resource practitioners have come out to say that degree holders are half-baked for the job market. So can universities now focus on core mandates? This comes at a time when also TVETs have been, receiving a number of, applicants for their courses, with, students opting to focus on, hands-on. More than theory, they're focusing on hands-on skills and focusing on entrepreneurship. Remember, this is Wednesday, and we welcome your feedback. Our Twitter handle remains at KBC Channel 1. We have Traffic Marshal A1 Doreen Arange and Lady Jane at Jain Wambui and Victor Oloo. We're going to be breaking off in as far as this is concerned with the various dailies that we have sampled for you in studio, but we're not done. Well, Kenya is preparing itself, to look at, as we're working towards post-COVID economic recovery. Where do we stand in as far as matters of industrialization are concerned? The Big Four agenda has also put aside, or rather focused on 4 areas, including value addition in manufacturing. Is the manufacturing sector receiving the support it requires to leapfrog the country, to where it's supposed to be? I mean, as we say, the 4th industrial revolution is going to be driven by ICT. So what also does ICT play in this role? That conversation is going to be totally handled and fleshed out for you, for your enjoyment and also information by Victor Oloo in not too long. I'm Regina Manyara. Do keep it KBC Channel 1.